The laughter hit Keara Williams like a physical blow. She stood alone at the center of the Galactic Council chamber, a 24-year-old human woman, surrounded by creatures that could tear her apart without effort. The Kryl warlord's scales rattled with amusement, a sound like knives scraping stone. Beside him, the Vex matriarch's mandibles clicked in what passed for insectoid mockery. "This is what Earth sends?" The Kryl commander, Thraziskot, rose from his seat. He stood nearly 9 feet tall, covered in crimson armor that had fused with his reptilian hide through decades of combat. A child to speak of war? Keara kept her hands steady at her sides, though her heart hammered against her ribs. She had prepared for this. Earth's intelligence division had warned her that the Deathworld races saw compassion as weakness, youth as incompetence, but the data didn't prepare you for the reality of standing before beings who hunted for sport on planets where the rain could dissolve flesh. "I come bearing urgent intelligence," Keara said, her voice cutting through the murmurs. 3 weeks ago, our deep space monitoring detected what? The Vex matriarch, Zixra, interrupted. Her compound eyes gleamed with contempt. "Your species has been spacefaring for what, 200 years? We have monitored the void for millennia. What could humans possibly detect that we have not? The Ravager fleet," Keara continued, refusing to be derailed. "A force of 800 warships is approaching this sector. They'll reach the border worlds in Ravagers." Thraskot's laughter boomed across the chamber. Old superstition, Deathworld children's stories to frighten hatchlings into obedience. Other council members joined the mockery. A Gorath delegate, its crystalline form pulsing with amusement, transmitted derision through the translation matrix. The Hern representative, a being of living stone from a high-gravity hell world, simply turned away in dismissal. Keara pulled a data tablet from her coat. "I have the telemetry. Gravitational distortions, energy signatures, fragmentary communications we've intercepted and enough." Thraskot descended from his platform, each footstep making the floor shudder. He crossed the chamber toward Keara with predatory grace. "Your world is soft. You live on a garden planet where the greatest threat is weather. You know nothing of survival, nothing of real war." He loomed over her now, close enough that she could smell the sulfur on his breath. Keara had been trained not to retreat, not to show fear. She met his eyes, those vertical slits that had watched worlds burn. "My homeworld has an extinction-level event every few thousand years," Thraskot continued, his voice dropping to a growl. "Volcanoes that bleed the sky black. Predators that hunt in packs of hundreds. We Kryl are born fighting. We earn our names through blood. What have humans ever survived? More than you know," Keara said quietly. "She speaks!" Zixra's laughter sounded like breaking glass. "The soft worlder has courage, at least. Foolish courage, but courage nonetheless." "I'm asking you to review the data," Keara pressed. "To prepare defenses. To coordinate. Coordinate with Earth?" A Gorath delegate's voice resonated through the chamber. "Your military is a joke. Kinetic weapons and chemical propulsion. You fight wars with bullets while we reshape matter at the quantum level." "Our weapons work," Keara said. "Against what?" Thraskot leaned closer, his fangs inches from her face. "Against yourselves! Human-on-human violence is not war." "It's children squabbling in the nursery," the council chamber erupted in agreement. Delegates from a dozen Deathworlds voiced their contempt. Species that had evolved under radiation bombardment, in crushing gravity and atmospheres that would ignite human lungs. They had survived the unsurvivable, and they saw Earth as nothing more than a minor player, pretending at importance. Keara's hand moved slowly to her wrist where a small device was embedded beneath the skin. She had hoped it wouldn't come to this. Hoped that reason would prevail, that the evidence would speak for itself. But she could see it now in their eyes, all of them. They would not listen. They would not prepare. And when the Ravagers came, these Deathworld empires would fall one by one because pride had made them blind. She pressed the signal. "You are dismissed," Thraskot said, turning away. "Return to your garden world and tell your leaders that the Galactic Council has no time for human fantasies. You're making a mistake," Keara said. "The only mistake," Zixra clicked, "was allowing you to waste our time. Guards, escort the human out." 2 security drones moved toward Keara. She didn't resist as they guided her toward the exit, but as the chamber doors began to close behind her, she heard it. The station's proximity alarms. A ship had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel closer than regulations allowed. The alarm screamed louder. Multiple ships, big ones. Brazcott's head snapped toward the viewing ports. In the darkness of space, running lights blazed to life. A vessel emerged from the void, so massive it seemed to blot out the stars. The design was human, but unlike anything in the public records. Angular, brutal, covered in weapons arrays that could glass a continent. "What is this?" Zixra demanded. Keara allowed herself a small smile. "That would be my backup." The council chamber's communication system crackled to life. A woman's voice, calm and cold as vacuum, filled the room. "This is Admiral Victoria Cross of the Earth Defense Force. I'm requesting immediate diplomatic access to the Galactic Council chamber." "Died," Thrascott snarled. "This is restricted space. You violated." "I'm not asking permission, Commander Thrascott." The voice carried an edge now, sharp as a blade. "I'm informing you of what's about to happen. You will grant me entry, or I will take it. You have 60 seconds to decide." The view screen showed more details of the human warship, energy readings that made the station's sensors scream warnings, weapon systems that were already tracking every ship in the sector, and behind it, more vessels decloaking from stealth fields. An entire battle group hidden in plain space. "This is an act of war," a Gorath delegate transmitted. "No," the woman's voice replied. "This is a courtesy. 30 seconds. Thrascott's claws scraped against his armor. He could see the math as clearly as anyone. The human ship could destroy the station before they could mount a defense. But more than that, the sheer presence of it contradicted everything the Council believed about human capabilities. "Allow her entry," he finally growled. The chamber doors opened again. Keara stepped aside as a woman walked in, flanked by 2 human soldiers in armor that seemed to drink in light. The woman herself stood just under 6 feet tall, her dark hair shot through with silver. She wore a simple black uniform with minimal insignia, but she carried herself like she owned the void itself. Admiral Victoria Cross swept the chamber with pale blue eyes that missed nothing. Then she smiled, and it was not a kind expression. "Thank you for seeing me," she said, her boots clicking against the floor as she approached the council platform. "Though I notice you were about to throw my daughter out." The word hung in the air. "Daughter? Your daughter?" Zixra's mandibles trembled with confusion. "Keara Williams is my child," Victoria said, moving to stand beside the younger woman. "She came here with intelligence that could save your worlds. Intelligence you dismissed because you think humans are weak." "We have seen no evidence otherwise," Thrascott said, though his voice had lost some of its earlier confidence. "No, you haven't," Victoria agreed, "because we chose not to show you. But circumstances have changed. My daughter was insulted, threatened, and humiliated. That I cannot allow." She touched a control on her wrist. The chamber's holographic displays flickered to life, overriding the station's systems. Images filled the air. Earth, rotating slowly in space. But these weren't the propaganda images the Council had seen before. "Let me tell you about my homeworld," Victoria said. "Earth's atmosphere is 21% oxygen. Do you know what that means? It means everything burns. Our entire planet is a slow-motion explosion waiting for a spark. Our oceans cover 70% of the surface, and in those oceans live creatures that can swallow your assault craft whole. We have storms that generate more energy than your planetary defense grids. We have deserts that can cook flesh in minutes, and tundras that freeze bone solid." The images shifted. Predators. A great white shark breaching to catch a seal. A saltwater crocodile dragging prey underwater. A polar bear crushing a skull with a single bite. A swarm of army ants devouring everything in their path. "Humans didn't evolve to be the strongest or the fastest," Victoria continued. "We evolved to be the most stubborn, the most adaptable, the most willing to do whatever survival required. We learned to make fire. We learned to craft tools. We learned to hunt in packs and to kill things 10 times our size. And when we ran out of external threats, we turned on each other. New images, human history, ancient warfare, medieval battles, world wars that turned entire continents into graveyards, nuclear weapons detonating in tests, mushroom clouds blooming like flowers of death. You call your worlds Deathworlds, but Earth has killed more humans than any alien threat ever could. We've survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcano eruptions, pandemics that wiped out half our population. We survived ourselves. And that taught us something none of you ever learned. She turned to face the council directly. It taught us that the deadliest thing in the universe isn't the environment. It's the thing that refuses to die. Thrazkot's scales had stopped rattling. The council chamber had gone silent. My daughter, Victoria said, gesturing to Keara, survived the resource wars. She was 7 years old when Beijing fell. She watched humans kill each other over water, over food, over land. She saw things that would break most of you, and then we sent her here, to a room full of beings who think they know what hard means, and you mocked her. Victoria's voice dropped to something colder than space itself. That was unwise. She manipulated the holographic controls again. New data appeared, military specifications, fleet compositions, weapons systems that violated 3 different galactic treaties. This is the actual strength of Earth's defense force, Victoria said. Not the patrol ships we show in public, not the outdated cruisers we let you see. This is what we've been building in the dark spaces between stars. Turd. The numbers made even the Gorath delegate recalculate. Hundreds of ships. Thousands. Weapon yields that could crack moons. Stealth technology that rendered fleets invisible. And production facilities scattered across 100 asteroid fields churning out war material at rates that shouldn't be possible. You're bluffing, Zixra said, but her voice lacked conviction. Am I? Victoria smiled again. Let me tell you what else we've been doing while you dismissed us. 3 weeks ago, as my daughter said, we detected the Ravager fleet. 2 weeks ago, we intercepted their scout groups. 17 ships, each one crewed by beings that make your Deathworld predators look tame. We destroyed them all. No survivors. No trace. She brought up combat footage. Human ships moving with impossible precision, tearing through alien vessels with weapons that seemed to unmake matter itself. The Ravager craft were enormous, organic-looking things covered in weapons and armor. They died like everything else. 1 week ago, Victoria continued, we destroyed another Ravager group. 23 ships. They had been heading toward Vex space. You're welcome, by the way. Zixra's compound eyes darkened with something that might have been fear. 4 days ago, we eliminated 31 more. They were probing Krill territory. Again, you're welcome. Thrazkot's claws clenched. You're claiming you've been fighting this threat alone? Not alone, Victoria corrected. We asked for help. We sent my daughter here with evidence, with data, with the coordinates of the incoming fleet. You laughed at her. So yes, we've been handling it ourselves. Why not simply tell us this from the beginning? A Ahern delegate rumbled. Because we tried, Keara spoke up, her voice steady. For 3 years, we've been sharing intelligence with the Council. Reports on anomalous readings in deep space. Warnings about unidentified vessels. Every single time, you dismissed it as human inexperience or faulty sensors. You decided we were too primitive to understand what we were seeing. So we stopped asking and started acting. Victoria nodded. Earth learned long ago that survival doesn't wait for consensus. When the threat is real, you move, you adapt. You do what must be done, regardless of what others think. She manipulated the display once more. Now it showed a star map with human fleet positions marked. The council members leaned forward, then recoiled. Human warships surrounded every major Deathworld system, not in orbit but close enough. Waiting. This is insurance, Victoria said calmly. In case you decided Earth was weak enough to ignore or attack. In case you thought humans could be pushed around without consequence. Every one of your homeworlds has a human battle group within strike range. We've been there for 6 months. You never noticed. This is an act of aggression, Thrashcott roared, standing. No, Victoria said. This is deterrence. This is survival. This is what humans do when the galaxy doesn't take us seriously. We make sure we can't be ignored. She let that sink in, watching the council members process the reality that their impenetrable defenses had been penetrated months ago without their knowledge. But I didn't come here to threaten you, Victoria continued. I came here to offer you a choice. The Ravager main fleet is real. It's coming. 800 ships. Just as my daughter said, they'll reach the border worlds in 72 hours. Alone, each of your empires might hold them off for weeks, maybe months, but you'll fall eventually. They don't stop. They don't negotiate. They consume. She gestured to Keara. My daughter came here to propose an alliance. A unified defense, combined resources, shared intelligence, coordinated strategy. You refused because you thought humans were beneath you, so now I'm making a different offer. Victoria's eyes hardened. Earth will lead the defense. Our technology, our tactics, our command structure. You will follow our orders, share your military capabilities without restriction, and accept human oversight of all strategic decisions. In return, we will destroy the Ravagers before they touch your worlds. That's absurd, Sixer clicked. You expect us to submit to human authority? I expect you to survive, Victoria said. But if you'd prefer to face the Ravagers alone, we can arrange that. Earth has already evacuated our border colonies. We're prepared for a long war. The question is, are you? The council chamber descended into chaos, delegates arguing, transmitting heated objections, demanding explanations. But beneath the noise, Keara could see them calculating, could see them realizing that everything they thought they knew about humanity was wrong. Thrascott's voice cut through the din. What guarantee do we have that you won't simply conquer us once the Ravagers are defeated? None, Victoria said bluntly. You'll have to trust us, just like we've had to trust that you wouldn't destroy us when you thought we were weak. The difference is, we're not asking. We're telling you what's going to happen. You can join us willingly, or you can face the Ravagers and then deal with us afterward. Either way, the balance of power in this galaxy just shifted. She'd pulled up one final image. The Ravager main fleet, captured by long-range human sensors. It filled the display, a swarm of ships so vast it seemed impossible. 72 hours, Victoria repeated. Make your decision. The silence stretched. Then, slowly, the Hern delegates' crystalline form pulsed with acceptance. The Hern Collective agrees to your terms. One by one, the others followed. The Gorath, the Vex. Even Thrascott, his pride visibly wounded, gave a curt nod of agreement. Then we have an accord, Victoria said. She turned to Keara. Director Williams, you'll coordinate intelligence sharing and fleet positioning. I want all Deathworld forces ready to move within 24 hours. Yes, Admiral, Keara said, the ghost of a smile crossing her face. One more thing, Victoria addressed the council. When this is over, we're going to have a conversation about respect, about assumptions, about what it means to dismiss someone based on age or appearance. My daughter is one of the most capable people I know. She survived a world you couldn't last a day on, and she tried to save you despite knowing you'd mock her. Remember that when you're tempted to judge humans as weak, the viewing screen showed the human battle group taking position around the station, sleek destroyers, heavy cruisers bristling with weapons. And at the center, Victoria's flagship, a vessel that redefined the concept of warship. 72 hours later, the Ravager fleet arrived at the border worlds. They found the combined might of the galaxy's Deathworld races waiting for them, coordinated and deadly. At the center of the formation, human ships moved with predatory grace, their weapons systems already acquiring targets. The battle lasted 6 hours. The Ravagers fought with the fury of beings that had never known defeat. They tore through defensive lines, shrugged off weapons that should have vaporized them, adapted to tactics in real time. For a moment it seemed they might actually break through. Then Victoria gave the order, and the human fleet showed what they'd really been holding back. Weapons that didn't just destroy ships but erased them from existence. Tactics that seemed to predict enemy movements before they happened. A level of coordination that suggested every human ship was part of a single, thinking organism. The Ravagers broke. For the first time in their recorded history, they retreated. The survivors fled into deep space, pursued by human hunter-killer groups that made sure none escaped to report back. In the aftermath, the Galactic Council reconvened. Thrazcott approached Keara, his scales scraped and scorched from battle. He inclined his head in what passed for a krill bow. "Director Williams," he said quietly, "I was wrong about your people. About you." "You were," Keara agreed. "But you learned. That's what matters." Victoria watched from across the chamber, pride evident in her eyes. Her daughter had done more than survive the Council's contempt. She'd proven that strength wasn't about size or ferocity. It was about refusing to break, no matter what. The galaxy had learned something that day. Humanity wasn't weak, wasn't soft, wasn't naive. They were survivors from a world that had tried for millions of years to kill them, and they had the scars to prove it. They had evolved not through armor or fangs, but through sheer stubborn determination to outlast anything the universe threw at them. And now, standing among the Deathworld races as equals, the humans had shown the galaxy what real survivors looked like. Not the species that adapted to one harsh environment, but the species that could adapt to anything. The species that turned every disadvantage into a weapon, every weakness into strength. The room had turned to silence when Victoria spoke. And in that silence, the galaxy had changed forever. Earth had arrived, and the universe would never dismiss humanity again.